No. No?
We also have this one.
It's fine, it's fine. I have 2 mics, so it's fine. Thank you. Okay, great. So thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me. This talk will be about Angular elements, and I want to start with a picture, namely with this one here. Did you have a fine dinner recently? Who had a really fine dinner recently? Okay, some of you, I really like having fine dinners, starting with nice starters and then a nice main course, a steak perhaps, and then of course dessert. I really like dessert, as you see. And if you ask me, Angular itself is a lot like a fine dinner. It contains everything you need for your dinner, a lot of courses, probably more courses than you can eat. You have everything in there for forms, BWA, testing, and so on and so forth. But I don't know about you. I do not eat a fine dinner every evening, mostly because of a lack of time. And so sometimes everything I want to have is just a pizza, just a greasy pizza. And if we take this metaphor and transfer it to the world of Angular, we see that we don't need a full-fledged single-page application all the time. Sometimes we just need components, just elements. And this is why the Angular team created Angular Elements. Angular Elements is all about creating web components, which are framework-independent components. You write them once and you can use them anywhere. To be more precise, Angular Elements is not about web components, because web component is just the umbrella term. It is more about custom elements, which is the most important standard in the world of web components. And this gives you a huge amount of new possibilities. For instance, you can create component libraries that assure that all your products look the same, regardless if they are written with Angular, with React, or something else. You can enrich existing applications. Who of you has still server-side rendered applications like PHP or ASP.NET or Java server faces? Yeah, some of you. In this case, you can just enrich your existing applications step by step with JavaScript components. You can integrate them into an CMS and you can dynamically load them. And this is the contents of this talk. In this talk, I will present you some advanced topics around web components. But first of all, to get everyone into the boat, I will start with some basics. I will just repeat some basics, just a tiny amount of slides, and then we go on with advanced stuff. This advanced stuff contains dynamically adding elements to your page. It contains lazy loading elements. It contains using external standalone elements. And it's about dealing with dependencies and, of course, with huge bundle sizes. So, first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Manfred. I am a trainer and consultant for Angular. I'm doing nothing else but helping companies with Angular. And I'm also part of the Google Developer Expert team. I'm quite proud of this. And since the beginning of this year, I'm part of the Angular team. I'm a trusted collaborator. And in this role, I'm helping the team to implement new features. I'm doing a lot of stuff in Austria and Germany. And sometimes, if I promise that I will behave very, very well, I'm invited to other countries in Europe like yours. And my current product is also about Angular. It's a workshop. It's called Angular Architectures for Enterprise Applications. It contains a lot of advanced stuff for maintainable, sustainable solutions. Okay, so let's quickly start with the basics. Let's have a short look at the basics just to get everyone into the boat. When it comes to Angular Elements, you just have a tiny library that wraps existing Angular components, and those components are exposed as web components. And so you can use them everywhere with each and every other framework. To use it, you just need an Angular component like the state component here. Of course, you have to declare it. then you have to put it into your entry components because it's created dynamically, and then you need some wrapper code. You can put this wrapper code everywhere. Here I'm just putting it into the constructor of my module. And this is the wrapper code. It's more or less just a call to create custom element, and you see on the right side the Angular component goes in, and on the left side the custom element comes out. It's really nothing more than this. Angular element in, custom element out. You also have to pass the injector to install your component with the dependency injection mechanism of Angular. And then you can register this custom element with the browser using this method here, custom elements define. It has nothing to do with Angular. It is a browser standard where you can tell the browser, hey, there is a new element, it's called this or that. Well, to make it work everywhere, also within legacy browsers, and I think we all know which browser I'm meaning when I'm talking about legacy browsers, we have to install some polyfills. There are different polyfills out there. I'm going with this polyfill here. It's a polyfill out of the Polymer project. You know, the Polymer project was an early project where Google started quite early with experimenting with web components. Okay, but if we have this, we should be on the safe side. Now let's talk about the first advanced topic. Let's talk about dynamic elements, dynamically adding elements to your page. The best thing here is that a web component is a first-class citizen in your browser. That means your browser treats your custom element the same way as it treats all the other elements, table, image, form, input, and something like this. And so you can do something like this here. You can say document create element dashboard tile. It's an API that's about 20 years old, and now it works together with your custom elements. You can assign properties, you can assign attributes, you can hook up event listeners, and then you can add this custom element to another element on your page. So it is really as simple as that. Perhaps you're saying now, hey Manfred, what are you doing here? It is not allowed to use the document element. And yeah, it was somehow kind of forbidden, mostly because the document element does not work together with server-side rendering. On the server side, there is not such a thing like a document element. But do you know what? Since Angular 5, Angular is simulating this document element even for server-side rendering to allow to use all those existing widgets out there. And so you are safe with this. I'm not saying that you should use document all the time. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is the document element nowadays comes in handy when you have to implement a highly dynamic scenario. So let me show you a demonstration for this. Here I have a simple application with a dashboard, and when I'm clicking this Add Default, just a web component is inserted into my page. It's dynamically inserted here, and you see it is a lot of fun. Hey, you. Yeah, I could do this the whole day. It's really awesome. Nice. So more about this in some minutes. So now let's move over to the second advanced topic. It's about lazy elements. By the way, a good friend of mine told me I'm very authentic when talking about lazy things. I'm not sure what he meant, but I think it was some kind of compliment. Anyway, so when it comes to lazy loading an Angular element, then it's all about registering the module with the element in your Angular JSON. And then you can load this module on demand with ng-module factory loader. One important thing here is, this is not about lazy loading routes. Lazy loading routes is simple. There is a high-level API. This is about lazy loading modules with elements that are part of your dashboard or of something else. So to register your module with Angular JSON, you just need this. There is a property called lazy modules where you can put the path. And when it comes to lazy loading it on demand, you need, for instance, a service. You have to get hold of the ng module factory loader, and then you can call loader load, as you see here. If you ask me, this happens when you take object orientation too seriously. Then you are ending up with things like loader loads, debugger debug, locker lock, tracer trace. Here we are going with loader load.
I'm passing in the path of my component, which is just a path that points to my module, and then I'm getting back a module factory. And using the create method, I can instantiate this module. And now normally I would have to search this module instance for an Angular component, and then I have to instantiate it and put it to my screen. This is quite stressful, quite annoying. It demands a lot of low-level APIs. But if this module contains just Angular elements, we are on the safe side. Because now we can just use the document object as seen before, and this means we can immediately display all the components that are in here in this lazy module.
So let me show you a demonstration for this. Let's click at default, that works. Let's click at add lazy, and now a lazy module is loaded on demand. To prove that lazy loading, to prove that lazy loading took happen, let me reload the page. Let's go to the network tab. To the network tab. Let's increase it a bit. Let's click at lazy, and hey, here we go. You see this bundle has been loaded on demand, and it has about 7.8K, which is not much. This is quite okay-ish, especially if you think that I'm running in debug mode. In production mode, it would be about the half, which is really okay in terms of bundle sizes. But we can do even better. One drawback of lazy loading is that the lazy bundle, where's my picture? No picture here. Yeah, it's very lazy.
Okay, we can see it here. And perhaps the project broke down. I don't know what's happening here. Yeah. Now we're talking. Cool. So the nice thing about lazy loading is that it produces very small bundles. But on the other side, everything has to be known at compile time. Everything is compiled together, and only then the lazy chunks are split off your main bundle. And this is exactly where the fourth technique comes in, which I'm calling external elements. An external element is an element that lives within one project. I'm calling it project A. This project is bundled to a bundle, and then it can be loaded on demand within a completely different project that can also be deployed or even be compiled separately. So this project B could just grab the newest bundle from this and that location and use the newest version of this web component. Saying this is currently not officially supported. And this is for a good reason. I will show you the reason in some seconds. And then you will also see which drawbacks there are, and then we will talk about compensating for those drawbacks. But first of all, how can we accomplish this? Well, first of all, we need to register custom elements in project A when we are bootstrapping. That means your main module just gets a bootstrap method, and there you can register your wrapper code that makes an Angular element out of your Angular component. Then you have to compile it down to a self-contained bundle, and then you have to load this bundle into another application. Say this, when you try to combine your application to a self-contained bundle, you get something like this. You get 5 or more bundles. 5 or more bundles for just a tiny custom element.
This is somehow awkward, isn't it? This is okay for a full-flagged Angular application. This is not okay for my custom element style, for my dashboard tile I want to load. So we need to find a way to give the CLI a hint to just produce one bundle. And currently this is not supported, and this is why I've created this community project. It's called NGX Build Plus. It is teaching the CLI new tricks, and one of those tricks is this, perhaps you see it here, this single bundle flag, which means you can abandon single bundle when calling your ng build, and then you get just one self-contained bundle here. Okay. When you have your bundle, you can easily load it in your application. You can use some script loader. Here I'm going with the simple script loader available on this earth. I'm just creating a script tag dynamically. I'm pointing to my bundle, and then I'm adding the script tag to my page. And one more time, after that, I can use the document object to display this lazy loaded external element. Let's have a look at this. So if you look here, you can click Add External and... Oh yeah, I have to wait a second. Let's cross fingers. Yeah. So I can click here on Add External, and as you see here, an external bundle is loaded. It was compiled separately, it was deployed separately, and now we have it here in the middle of our application. So let's compare this with lazy loading in terms of bundle sizes. Oh, that's a lot of bundles. Let's redo this.
Let's clear everything. Let's load the external bundle. Let's load the lazy bundle, and let's compare bundle sizes. The first one is the external one, the third one is the lazy one. This is just a bunch of data JSON. So do you notice some difference here? It's a tiny difference if you ask me, isn't it? Yeah. So it's a difference that has about 2 magnitudes. It's 7.8K in production mode 4K against 400 something K. So something is wrong here with external elements, and this is the reason why they are not officially supported nowadays.
So let me explain you what is happening here. This leads us to the 5th and last topic I've prepared for you today. This leads us to dealing with dependencies. Well, what did we got? We got several bundles with custom elements, in my case just one custom element, and when we compiled it to a self-contained bundle, it got parts of Angular itself, our X.js, and all the other libraries we are using. And this is what increases the bundle sizes nowadays. It's even worse. If we loaded 2 of those bundles on demand, we would get Angular several times loaded into the browser. And I don't know about you, but I personally don't need to have Angular several times within my browser during the same execution of the application. So we need something better here. One solution might be Ivy. Of course, Ivy is solving all the issues out there, aren't it? Ivy will fix everything if you ask me. Especially this here, because Ivy is capable of down-leveling your Angular code to something that is very close to the DOM, that is very close to the document object model and pure JavaScript. Not much of Angular will remain here. At least in theory, that will be possible. Saying this, currently, there is no official solution that bridges Ivy with Angular elements, even though Ivy is part of Angular 8, at least in a very preview version. But also for this, there is an unofficial version, and if you have to go with such an unofficial version, you can look into my blog. I will show you the link in some minutes, and there you will find an article that guides you through using Ivy with web components already today to shrink your bundle sizes. You can dramatically shrink your bundle sizes with this. Saying this, of course, Ivy will not solve everything. And so I'm very happy that my friend Minko Getchev posted this on Twitter about 6 months ago. He said, Ivy will enable new features. Well, that's great, isn't it? And those features will come step by step. And it may reduce your app size. It may reduce your app size, but do not expect wonders. In general, I found out it's a good thing to don't expect wonders. It will not make your JavaScript disappear. This is what Minko said. So at the end of the day, Minko is saying there are some use cases where Ivy can do a lot for you in terms of bundle sizes, and there are other use cases where Ivy won't do much for you. Saying this, I have to take a picture about this, just to show Minko I've talked about him in this talk. Perhaps he is giving me a drink or something like this. Yeah, and I need a selfie with it, so. You know, perhaps he gives me a drink or owes me now a pizza or something like this. So, what does Minko want to say us here? Well, Minko wants to say us that Ivy is a great deal for widgets which are using Angular Core and Angular Common. Or to put it in another way, widgets which are just UI widgets. Widgets that are just going with ng style and ng for and ng if and data binding. Then Ivy is your friend. But if you have a huge amount of libraries like the router, like forms, like an authentication library, like a library that is coining some Bitcoin mining some Bitcoins, then it will not make those libraries vanish. They will just be in your browser. And so you need another solution for dealing with libraries, and this solution could look like this here. We could load all the libraries once and then reuse them within our bundles. This is exactly what we did with jQuery, didn't we? Who used jQuery in the past? Okay, I'm not looking who used jQuery. Okay, okay, even some more. So when we used jQuery, we loaded jQuery once into the browser, and then we loaded other bundles like jQuery UI or your favorite datetime picker, and it just was reusing window.dollar, which was where jQuery was sitting. And we can do exactly the same with Angular nowadays. It's not that common in Angular. It's more common with React and Vue, but not in Angular. But the fact is, it would work. You just need to include everything using UMD bundles, and then you have to tweak the CLI a bit so that the CLI is not bundling those requirements into your bundles, but so that it is just referencing to it, referencing to this version sitting directly within the window object. Well, saying this, the CLI is not capable of doing this, but my open source project can do this for you. Just install it, and it teaches the CLI this trick. It enhances the CLI for this mode of working. The drawback of it is it increases a bit the complexity, and you don't have an isolation, which means that if you are increasing the Angular version here, all your libraries are immediately affected. So if you like this talk, there is much more about this. I've written down a lot of articles. I've written down 5 articles about using Angular elements, And I've written down this new article that shows how to use Ivy together with web components. And if you like this talk, perhaps you want to check it out. And if you did not like this talk, then check it out anyway. Perhaps I'm writing better than I'm speaking, who knows? So let me sum up. We've seen some additional stuff, some advanced stuff we can do with Angular elements. We've seen we can dynamically add them to your page. We've seen we can lazy load them just on demand. And we've seen we can use external elements. And if you use external elements together with Ivy, we can shrink the bundle sizes for UI-based widgets. For all the other widgets, we need something like NGX Build Plus to share dependencies that are sitting in our window object. Here you have my coordinates. If you have any question, feel free to reach out to me. And I just say thanks for coming. And if you want, follow me on Twitter so that we can keep in contact. Thanks and have a nice day. Oh, and I need a selfie for my grandma. She is so proud of me. So, say hello to my grandma. Hello. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Manfred. Yeah, you'll have a lot of competitors. Okay, so we're going to have a coffee break now, 30 minutes. Do you know how to use it for networking? Right? Communicate with each other. And Manfred, you want to grab some sandwich too, right? So you'll be in the speakers
Yeah, of course.
After this coffee break. Yeah, so if you have questions. Yeah, and also one thing I wanted to say, that our sponsors prepared some activities where you can win prizes, and they will determine winners. So step by their booths, and they will determine winners. Scalers at 3 p.m. and Levy night at 3:15. And then that will determine winners here on stage right after at the end of the conference. So yeah, enjoy the lunch. Thank you.
Thank you.